What's up, guys? Welcome to your Alabama 6A state preview. Coach Arick Shankles is with me. And, all you 6A people, feel free to go ahead and throw some tomatoes his direction, right? I think what you picked Athens, was that right?
Yeah, I picked Athens. Didn't pan out, but that's okay.
Not they got to the finals. They looked good. I will say, when I was at the state duels, watching Gardendale battle Mountain Brook, that was a really good duel. Watching Pike Road, man, they were battling Athens and it was close. And then next thing you know, Athens kind of separated and was able to take it up. But I'll tell you what, in that finals, Mountain Brook just started and they got on a roll. And once they got on a roll, and it started at the wrong weight for Athens, and next thing you know, you're down 30 points, and I don't care which hammers are coming up,
Yeah.
and it's going to be pretty hard to make up that kind of hole.
Yeah, and not to give excuses for Athens, but their 106 did miss weight for both region duels and sectionals. And so at region duels, that makes you bump up your entire lineup. And now you don't necessarily have favorable matchups. Where in it at sectionals you can kind of get away with it because now you're just missing one kid, and everybody else is there. But yeah, so unfortunate. If he was in there, I don't know how much of a difference that makes. Maybe he wins a match, maybe he loses the match. I don't know, but yeah, shout out to Mountain Brook. And it's funny because I was constantly saying they're the number one team, and then I'm like, I'm gonna go with the other guys. And so it's one of those where it's like you roll the dice, and sometimes you're right, and sometimes you get yelled at. So
Well, and the way I look at it is, at the end of the day, like I hope everybody takes it the way we kind of hope we present it, and that is, you're talking about wrestling. We have an opportunity to do so. We are very fortunate that YouTube exists, social media exists in today's day and age. Our ability to even just have these conversations, because a long time ago, when I wrestled, even not that long ago, when you wrestled, it was a different world. So the
completely
fact that we get
different.
to talk about it is good.
Yeah, it completely different world. Like all these matches are on Flow and stuff. You have to go to YouTube and type in like 2013 AHSAA title, and then it's just like some bad camera qualities of whatever, and there's no matches that you can really find from way back then. So way different world, just completely
Well, go
different.
back to my time. It might be on like reel to reel or something. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't even on like VHS or anything.
But see, that gives you a little bit of leeway. You could be like, I was a four-time state champ. No one knows. Go look at the records. They didn't record it.
I was so not a four-time state champ, but you know what? I tried real hard. All right. All right. So let's jump into 6A and we're gonna run through these. 6A 106, really good bracket. Very impressed with Bobby Rutkoff from Mountain Brook. He is your top seed. He's a senior at 106. That's a huge thing. Um, Two seed is Zedek Pabst from Pell City. Three is Abel Brantley from Gulf Shores. Four is Eli Carter from Southside Gaston. Tough little number four seed out of Southside Gaston. But I watched Bobby Rudkoff wrestle down at the knockout. I mean, they wrestle some top flight competition. He does have some losses. For people who are hung up on numbers and wins and losses, not all wins and not all losses are created equal. So keep that in mind when you look at these things. Anyway, so how do you see 106?
Yeah, so Abel Brantley and Bobby Rutkoff. I know if you look, and this is again, it goes back to why I don't value pins as much, right? That match was a 6-5 match when Rutkoff gets a pin. So, it's very interesting. I think Abel Brantley has a really good path. I mean, if you're Bobby Rutkoff, you have to go through Goggins from Fort Payne, Felix from Northridge, a potential Barrett Adams or Eli Carter, and then a finalist. Brantley, you're looking at Devon Miller, somebody who lost in an amazing match. If you haven't seen the 106 match from sectional finals between Zedek Pabst and Devon Miller, go watch that match. Multiple overtime match, fantastic. But I think Abel Brantley has a nice path to the finals, and that's a toss-up match. And so I like Abel Brantley here in this bracket, actually. Even though I think Rutkoff, the senior, he's the favorite. But again, I like picking people that aren't necessarily the favorites. And then my dark horse in this bracket, because it's such a big bracket, I'll just give a dark horse is Maddox McDaniel down there at the 7.
Okay.
Somebody who, if you're Maddox, you're looking at your path and you're like, well, I like kind of like this path here maybe. So, yeah, should be fun. Should be a really really fun bracket. I always love 106 as a former 106. All these guys are you're looking you have one senior and but most of these guys are ninth and 10th graders. People
Mhm.
who for the next few years as they grow into other weights will be winning state brackets in other weights.
Yeah. Yeah. I never wrestled 106. It wasn't a weight class back then. It was 98 and 103, but
Yeah.
I'm with you. I got you.
Yeah.
All right. So jumping to 113, your top seed is Dylan Urema from Pike Road. Number 2 seed is Wyatt Chavez from Mountain Brook. 3 seed Thomas Norris from Southside Gadsden. 4 is Pedro Miguel from Fort Payne. Really, this is just a really good bracket. I mean, just honestly,
Yeah.
some really, really good wrestlers here.
Yeah, this is a fantastic bracket. I mean, even the first round, you have Elijah Thomas, state placer, versus Carlisle Hubbard from Oxford. Both of those guys are fantastic. Caleb Berry, state placer, Thomas Norris, state placer from last year. Just fantastic matches. Miguel and Norris was a great finals up north. I think it was 4-3. Yamira Majors Wyatt Chavez actually in a
Which,
pretty dominant match.
yeah, I
And
don't
and
know if you're surprised, but I was a little surprised by looking at the score. I didn't see it. I could have
yeah,
watched
yeah.
it, but that was just a little surprise to me.
Yeah, and that leads me to Khalil White, who only had a 4-0 loss over Yamira, and so I'm looking at him, and he's like, "Oh, that's a clear dark horse in this bracket." Somebody that has barely lost to the arguably heavy favorite and had his closest match with you. So, somebody who I could easily see making a run there. But yeah, this is a fantastic weight. I don't know. I can't even predict the top 6 because I really think there's probably 10 guys who we could see swip swap on the bracket whenever. If this was wrestled 100 times, you might have a different top 6 every time. So
All right.
yeah,
Well,
it super
you know
fun.
what?
But
Whoever's on a roll then might be taking it.
oh yeah,
How much does being really good at sectionals play into a carryover effect, or does it really have no effect? It's a new tournament.
I'll be honest. Not I don't think very much. And I was fortunate enough to win my sectionals every time, but I've seen like I'll just give my little brother because it's personal. He got second, I think, at sectionals the year he was also a state runner up, and he didn't wrestle. He wrestled somebody from the other section. So, and that guy, I don't think won his section either. So I don't think it necessarily matters. I think it's really just, are you having a good weight cut? Are you mentally prepared for that tournament? Are you ready to go? How does your path look? Do you match up well with your path? I mean, and that is important. And I know people are like, oh, seeds don't matter. They do, though. They
Right.
really do. I mean, your matchups do play a part into who wins that bracket.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's whoever's wrestling better that day, and that's what makes these brackets so fun.
All
Especially
right.
especially because it's spread out over 3 days. You really got to be really good for 3 days, not
No
just not
doubt.
just
No
one.
doubt. Which I hate that, but
Yeah, I do. That's a whole
that,
other.
that's a whole other
It's a
conversation that will take us down a rabbit hole that I'm not going to get into.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So 6A 120, your top seed is Gage Roberts from Hartselle. 2 is Kenyon Clements, Helena Lake and Poff from Athens, and Brooks Morton from Mortimer, Jordan. Again, I looked down at 5 through 12, some good wrestlers in there. But I mean, honestly, Gage Roberts has been pretty solid. Kenyon Clements did win the South though, from Helena.
Pretty dominant as well. The only close match was against David Newell, my dark horse here at the 6 seed from Mountain Brook. But yeah, Gage Roberts, Kenyon Clements, Lake and Poff is another fantastic wrestler, multiple time state placer. I think he got third last year. Brooks Morton, another wrestler that was at 106 that's bulked up this year and looks really, really good as well. Gage Roberts, 3-time finalist, though. You got to think that he's going to break through his senior year. He is the favorite. Kenyon Clements has definitely jumped levels. I think it could be interesting. I don't really know who wins the potential Clements versus Poff matchup. If Poff gets past maybe Newell as well. So really, really interesting bracket, but I'm gonna go with Gage here. I'm just gonna go with that, he's been there before. You got to think he's going to make that push. I'm never going to pick somebody to be a four-time runner-up. So I'm going to go with, it was like the Dayton Fix thing last year. It's like I'm going to pick him just because, you kind of feel for him. You're like, you got to push through.
Yeah. Do you know if Poff wrestled Newell at state duels off the top of your head?
I I think they bumped everybody up one weight, and I think that's what happened because of the miss weight, but I could be wrong. Maybe he did.
Let's see here. Let's see if I can see it. Um,
Yeah, not to mention Brooks Morton versus Gage Roberts at sectionals was a sudden victory match. So Brooks Morton at the four is maybe potentially seeing Gage Roberts could play spoiler to everything I just said, but um, yeah, some really fun matchups.
yeah, I don't see it in here. So, all right. All right. So let's jump to 126. And speaking of, I mean, Steven Springfield, who comes in as the two seed, has been all over the podium. Has he been second twice?
I think he got second last year, maybe won last year. I don't want to. Maybe he won. I can't
No,
remember.
I don't think he's won. I don't think
But
he's actually I
I
don't
think
think
he's
he's
been
actually
twice.
first yet.
Yeah, I think he's been second twice, if I'm not mistaken.
Obviously, your top wrestler at the weight is Crew Poe from Gardendale. Three is Cortez Samuels from Jasper. Four is Hayden Cook from Gulf Shores. Um, yeah, so another good weight. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, Cortez Samuels does get teched by Poe in the finals at sectional. Somebody who hasn't really had a lot of matches this year, but Samuels was a defending state runner-up, I believe, in 5A. Steven Springfield, just I've seen him a couple times this year. Really good wrestler, senior year. I think he matched up with Poe already, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
and I think Poe
he
won.
lost to him at state duels.
And it was a good match. I remember seeing that result and being like, that's an interesting matchup for the future. So, really excited to see that potential finals there. I do lean Poe, a defending state champ himself. And then my dark horse is probably Luke Dickinson from Pike Road, somebody who I believe made a state semifinal run last year. And I think based on this bracket, he is poised to do it again. So, um, we'll see. But that's another wrestler I'm interested to see how he does in this bracket.
And just context, guys. So again, I was looking through Springfield's list. I mean, his losses are to Welton and Myers Duncan in the state, as well as Nick Sykes. Outside the state, he's lost to two-time state champ from Georgia, Ty Murray. He's lost to Jesuits Reed Yakes, who's down in Tampa, who's one of the top wrestlers in the state of Florida. So, and Kuropo, I think his only loss was to a kid from Louisiana. So, I mean, we're talking about some solid competition here. So,
Yeah, yeah. He's a great wrestler. He beat Xander for my team in a really good match up in Tennessee this year. So,
oh, is that right?
yeah, he's a very good wrestler.
All right, so let's move to 6A 132. Top seed is Justin Harbin. Two is Ephraim Ormison. Three is Davis Smith from Mountain Brook. Four is Jackson Shutt, I think.
Yeah, it's shut.
Shut from Hartsel. Again, you got some good wrestlers further down, Jack Posey, Swayze Martin, so on and so forth. But again, I've seen Justin Harbin wrestle. I think he was maybe down at 6 or 13 like years ago or a year or two ago.
I think last year he was a fine. He lost to Poe
That's right.
at 106 or 113, one of those
Yeah.
weights. So,
So how do you see 132?
okay, well, this is interesting. This is one of those where I don't like the seeds, right? Ephraim Ormson gets second at sectional. He gets the two seed at state. Jackson Shutt wins sectional and then gets the four seed at state. It's one of those brackets where it's like, I just wish they would do it right. Unfortunately, I know the computer says that, but there has to be some criteria that says like common sense says number one or something like that. Because it just doesn't make sense that you can beat somebody a week ago and then be seated two spots below them. It just, it hurts the kids because now Shut is like both sectional champs are on the same side of the bracket.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
not necessarily fair to either of them, right? That they would have to meet in the semis. So I don't like that. But Justin Harbin is the favorite. He had a great 3-2 match with Davis Smith from Mountain Brook in the finals.
Right.
But don't count out Shutt and Ormiston. Shutt, somebody who's been a perennial placer for the last 3 or 4 years in these lightweight brackets for Hartzell. Ormiston, somebody who I believe was a state runner-up last year from
Mm.
Southside and 5A. So really good wrestlers themselves. Not to mention Swayze Martin from Wetumpka, my dark horse here, who lost 12-9 to Davis Smith. So somebody else who could be a really big bracket buster there in the quarters if he upsets Smith in the quarters. And again, it's like if you're Davis Smith, you're like, man, my road is very tough here to win a state title. And so,
Yeah.
and that's where it goes back to the seeds. It's like, yeah, okay, both of the 1 seeds are on the same side, and the 3 seeds road is arguably harder than both of them anyway. So it's this bracket's all over the place. But Harbin is the favorite. He is undefeated, state runner-up last year. Really good wrestler.
All right. All right. So let's jump to 138 and your top two seeds. I'm pretty sure I watched the two of them wrestle one another at the state duels
They
in
did.
what was a contentious, match. There's a lot of emotion in that match. Not a surprise. Jackson Unger from Athens is your 1 seed. Myers Duncan from Pike Grove is your 2 seed. You got a very talented Putty Ketchum from Homewood as the 3 seed. Elijah Wilson is your 4 seed from Pell City. But I will say, and as much as I like Ketchum and Unger and Myers Duncan, if you can make that one happen again, I'll go sit, Matt's side and kind of watch those two battle again. That was a blast.
Yeah, no, Unger and Myers Duncan potential finals collision course here. I believe the final score was 7-2, but it was a super competitive match.
Oh,
And
I think it was real close until maybe he gave up a takedown at the end, which
yeah,
then pushed it because he had to go for it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was like maybe a 4-2 match before that happened or something like that.
Yeah, it was a very, very close match, and so that's going to be a super fun potential matchup. Buddy Ketchum definitely game. Only lost to Duncan 6-2, which means you're closing the distance. You're within range there. Um, and then you have somebody like Sam Powell from Pelham,
That's right. Yeah.
who's super competitive in this weight as well. You have Caleb Utley in there. You got Claypool from Gulf Shore. So this is a really fun weight class. But Jackson Unger, talk about messing up seeds last year. Gets the most horrendous draw and wrestles a potential state finals match in the first round after winning sectionals. And this year, finally, the 1 seed as a junior, and maybe things will work out his way because he's one of the most talented wrestlers in Alabama. And so to see him finally be in a position to make a run to a state title is super fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and Duncan's been all over the podium, and I think last year he didn't make weight. Was that right, or
Yeah,
something?
another wrestler who like I
Yeah,
think he didn't make weight the second day at sectionals and then he was forfeited out of the weight. So
yeah,
it's just like both of these
yeah.
guys have had tough runs. I think Unger was out was had the seating mishap that year and then the year before he had a concussion or something, so he was out. And it's just like, man, just you feel for these kids that are super talented, but their accolades might not match the talent that they actually are and how good they
Right.
really are.
Well, so for your average 6A fan, guys, go watch 138. I mean, Betty Ketchum could like surprise lots of people, but whoever is in the finals at 138 pounds is going to be well worth like going and watching it.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, this is awesome. I love this weight.
All right, moving to 144, your top seed, and in my opinion, one of the best in the state of Alabama, Will Anderson from Athens. You have an exceptionally talented Bill Bradford from Mount Brook, who is your 2 seed. Noah Davis is your 3 seed. Sawyer Hardy from Spain Park is your 4 seed. Um, um, Bradford will go out and compete. There's no doubt about it. Will Anderson, I mean, I'm thinking the list of names, I mean, Bradley Williams, John Stewart, a DeMarcus Poe. I mean, Will Anderson, I mean, is amongst that crew as far as in my opinion, watching them compete outside of the state, that level. So, yeah, how do you see 144?
Yeah, I called him Batman before, and there he is. He shows up again, and yeah, the clear favorite. I mean, going for his fifth state title, he'll be in small company there. When
Mhm.
he if when he does win, the very clear favorite. Unless something dramatic happens, I don't see that changing. Bill Bradford has a very tough road to make the finals. I could see him, Noah Davis, or Ethan Giangrosso from Gulf Shores making that finals match. So all those guys are super competitive. Um, but yeah, you're just lining up against one of the best wrestlers in Alabama,
No
and
doubt. No doubt.
not only one of the best wrestlers in Alabama, but in his senior year.
Yeah.
In his senior year, where he's probably the least vulnerable of all of the years. If you're gonna catch a five timer, you probably want to catch him when he's a seventh or eighth grader. You don't really want to catch him when they're. It's like the Corey Land thing, right? Like when Corey's, you want to catch Corey when he's a 20-pound underweight seventh grader.
You're
You don't want
darn
to
right
catch
you
him when
do.
he's a senior.
That's right. That's right. Or a Jaden knew back when he was in seventh grade or whatever the
Yeah,
case was.
yeah.
All right, jump into 6A 150, our top seed Jacob Doshier from Hartselle, two seed Joaquin Salas from Gulf Shores, Carter Campbell, your three seed from Athens, Brody Helm, Mortimer Jordan is your four seed. Yeah, so I don't actually know Salas from Gulf Shores. He's an eighth grader. I do know Dosher. I do know Campbell. Kind of inform me. Kind of what am I looking at here at 150?
All right, you got Dozier is going to have the winner of McNutt and Peyton Adams. I think Peyton Adams is a state runner-up from 5A last year. That's a tough first quarterfinal for Dozier. And then you got Anthony Rivers, who was the one seed at sectionals, lost 13-11 to Edwin Penny, who's the six seed. So those, I mean, these seeds are it's another bracket where you're just like, I don't know what's going on here. Carter Campbell, somebody who I've really been high on all year, and I think I said it last time, one of the most improved wrestlers in Alabama, and somebody who's really really fun to watch. He actually was my number one going into this week or into last week, and Dozier beat him 9-3. So
Mm,
that kind of flipped my thoughts on that. And then you have Salas from Gulf Shores, and I have not been able to see him wrestle, but as an eighth grader, going out and winning the bracket, I believe, down there in the South, and in tough matches too. I think three decisions on his way to a title. Somebody who easily could make a run. Unfortunately, I think Dozier and Campbell are on a collision course for the finals. Carter Campbell, very good. He has a tech fall win over Dozier as well. So they've had two completely opposite results. Just like you don't know the rubber match, you never know. But this should be a really fun one.
nice, nice. I didn't know he had a 10-ball win over him.
He did,
I
yeah,
just saw the remote. I just saw the sectional score, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, that was pretty. That's pretty solid, you know.
yeah, yeah.
All right, so we knew moved to 6A 157, and I've already mentioned his name when I was when I was mentioning some of the best in the state. Your top seed is Bradley Williams from Spain Park, who finally won a 7A title a year ago after being what, a two or three-time runner-up?
I think
Yeah,
three-time runner-up, and then
yeah.
finally
So
won last
seventh
year.
grade, eighth grade, ninth grade, and then wins it, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, three-time runner-up and then champ.
7A too. 7A runner-up. Not we're not talking about like he was in matches. He was in some good matches.
Yeah, he was. Your two seed is Drake Paps from Pell City. Three seed Charles Knight from Gulf Shores, and fourth seed is Garrett Willingham, who kind of gets the short end of the stick, being the fourth seed on the same side as Bradley Williams. That's just kind of the way that works. So if you didn't want it, could have won the North, and then that would have been, you could have been on the other side. So that's just the way that works.
Yeah, yeah. Bradley Williams, I don't try to do as much pound for pound stuff anymore, but he would be easily in the top three. Had great matches with nationally ranked kids all across. I mean, just fantastic wrestler. One of my favorites to watch. Really developed into his own the last couple years. Yeah,
I
everybody else is kind of fighting for second here. I'll be honest. I think the bottom half of the bracket is you have Charles Knight from Gulf Shores, someone who I believe was a state runner-up, state placer
Mm,
last year, and then you got Drake Papp, somebody who I think was a round of like maybe blood rounder or a round before there last year. Um, and then you have Garrett Willingham, somebody who's been a multiple time state placer, Luke Bergeson. This is one of those weights where if you're like somebody like Luke Bergeson at the five, you might send in an appeal and try to get the six. You might try, you might try to argue that Toradov is better than you, and that way you can be on the other side.
I don't think that's how
Um,
it feels work there, coach.
So yeah, no, I mean, this is a tough bracket. Bradley is the favorite. There's not much else to say. I could see any one of these guys on the bottom half making their way to the finals. And unfortunately, you're just running into a generational talent right here. So,
You are. You are. And we said it in 5A, and it's true here. We don't anoint champions before they take the mat because you never know what's going to happen. But if there is a person in the field who has been there, done that, um, and there's a few of them here in 6A. I mean, Will Anderson is one, Bradley Williams is one. But we're going to talk about one here at 165 who's absolutely solid, 175, But all of them have to go out and compete. All of them have to go out back and earn it every single year. So you know what? If you're at 57, go do it, man. Go knock him off. So, all right. Your top seed at 165 pounds is returning state champion Cruz Rainwater from Mortimer, Jordan. Two seed Fernando Trujillo of Homewood. Three is Austin Campbell of Athens. Four is Tyler Cooper of Brookwood. This is actually a really good weight. I noticed several, Weston Reed in there. I noticed Luke Horsley from Jasper, down there as the eight seed. Um, but when we get into this part of 6A, you're gonna have to pick your poison. 57's got Bradley's, 65's got a returning state champ and Rainwater, 75's got DeMarcus Poe, so on and so forth. You have to go out and beat one of them. So tell me why 65, somebody might have a good shot at knocking off a returning state champ.
oh man, I mean, Austin Campbell almost did it, right? Ultimate tiebreaker loss there in probably the best match of sectionals for sure.
Hmm.
And a potential rematch, but this bracket is arguably one of the deepest brackets
Right.
we've had in a long time. I really love this bracket. Every match is going to be fun. I mean, you have Luke Horsley, somebody from Jasper who's been a multiple time state placer. You have
Yep.
Weston Reed, multiple time state placer. Jax Cooper, I think he got fifth or sixth last year. Braden Patterson from Pelham, really good wrestler. Austin Campbell, I mean, arguably one of the most talented wrestlers in this bracket as a 10th grader, right? You're looking at all these guys. There's not many 10th graders in this bracket. Brady Brooks, defending sectional champ, just got third. Augustine Hernandez from Hazel Green, really good wrestler, state placer, and now he's not even seeded. And then Fernando Trejo, who is a third place returner. So great weight.
Great
I
weight.
think I think Rainwater and Campbell are both gonna make the finals. I feel pretty confident in saying that. I think if you're looking at the results, they've pretty much majored or teched everybody else besides each other. So, um, yeah, but this is a really fun weight. I mean, the battle from third to sixth is going to be awesome. I mean, even in the first round of consies, you're going to see some just amazing matchups. So that from top to bottom, every single match in here will be really fun to watch. So
Well, and
I'm
I don't
excited
think
for this one.
Campbell and Trejo have wrestled this year, which makes it really interesting. Although you can't look to the semis. I mean, you're going to have some matches, so
Oh yeah.
you can't look ahead because, like you said, the bracket is so deep. And Campbell, I think he's had two losses on the year.
Hmm.
One to Jake Ream out of Georgia, who's a super talented wrestler, and then to Rainwater. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun, dude.
Yeah, my dark horse is Augustine from Hazel Green. He's a good wrestler, somebody who's been on the podium before, and a matchup potentially between Trejo and him in that quarterfinals would just be amazing.
All right, we jumped to 175, and we're kind of back in the same position in that it's a really good weight. DeMarcus Poe is absolutely outstanding. I think he is definitely the favorite at the weight. Um, but Mason Hussey, Jude Smith, Blas Correa, I mean, those Correa, those are all talented and they're all seniors. They all want to go out with a title themselves in their final year.
Yeah, I mean, even Ruben Gomez from Brookwood, Donnie Burnett, somebody who I think has got third twice from Northridge, is the sixth seed. He always has a good state tournament. So yeah, this is a great weight. Unfortunately for everybody in this weight, you are running into one of the Poe brothers, right? There's like
Right.
30 of them. And you run into one of them who's a senior again. And then also you run into Mason Hussey, who I want to say won a title last year from Pike Road
I
or was
don't
a state
actually know.
finalist. Who did he lose to? Um,
Let me see. Let's see if I can figure that out. I
but yeah,
don't.
while you're figuring that out, yeah, Bryce Schwan from Athens, a great wrestler. Correa from Homewood, another placer. Really fun weight. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
so Hussey's only loss was to Woodland out of Georgia, Christian Cothran, back in December. So,
yeah,
and he has wins over Jude Smith and Schwan and Weston Reed and
yeah.
other individuals.
And those were good matches too. Those were close matches, which is why I'm leaning Poe, right? Because he
Right.
doesn't really have many close matches besides maybe bumping up and wrestling Cody Kirk. So, um, yeah, all of his matches have been pretty dominant at this weight, and I don't know if anybody in this weight is gonna challenge him like that.
And as you mentioned the name Cody Kirk, we jumped to 190 pounds for your top seed there. This is again, the two seed is Carter Reed from Jasper, who's super good. Dominique Morissette from McAdory is your three seed. Josh Peoples, Southside Gadsden is your four seed. Cody Kirk just signed with Davidson, wrestled D1. Um, he just, I don't know, he just feels like he just keeps getting better and better and better every single time I watch him wrestle.
Yeah, I got the chance to see him at Gulf Coast this year and some good matches. I think I said this last time, but yeah, he's fantastic, and he already owns, I believe, two wins over Carter Reed. I think Carter Reed's only losses are to Cody Kirk and at 215 to Jamison Falciani. So I do think they're on a collision course. Carter Reed defending state champ in 5A and Cody Kirk defending state champ in 6A. So um, and this weight isn't necessarily as deep as some of the other weights. You have Kion Rogers from Jemison, one of my old kids. You have Jackson Stanford from Gardendale, who I could easily see being a bracket buster at this weight, and a couple other good wrestlers. But yeah, I mean, when you have a weight with two wrestlers like Cody Kirk and Carter Reed, some people are probably willing to go up and down.
Yeah, but you couldn't really go down in many places. So I don't know about up, but down was hard. And just
Yeah.
so everybody knows, Cody Kirk's losses, he has two losses to Ethan Sequoia, who's a one or two-time state champ in Georgia, and Braden Semino from Louisiana, who you saw wrestled at the Gulf Coast Clash. So
Yeah, he's
Semino's
fantastic.
tough.
Yeah, oh yeah, dude, he's a great wrestler. Yeah, that was a fun match as well.
Yeah. All right, let's jump to 6A 215. Your top seed, Jamison Falciani from Hartselle, Porter Schott from Chelsea, Brock Ryder, Gardendale, and Joseph Apps from Spanish Fort is your four seed. I'm looking for a little further down. You can see a Landon Everett from Gulf Shores, a Weston Tossie from Mortimer Jordan. So, definitely Falciani looks like the top seed. He won the North last weekend. But this is another really pretty deep weight.
And that everybody bumped up. So yeah, you have Falciani defending runner up, I believe, and I mean, if you've ever seen a 215 hit a crossface cradle, that's the guy that you're gonna watch because he has a fantastic one. Landon Everett defending state champ in 5A as the five seed here. You have Joseph
Yep.
Apps. Somebody who beat Everett in ultimate tiebreakers. You have Ethan Holloway, state placer last year, who only lost to Porter Schott 6-4 at sectionals. You have Jordan Goodwin from McAdory, who's a good wrestler. You got, I mean, just fantastic weight right here. Every single person I could see ending up on the podium. I mean, this is just a really deep weight class.
Yeah.
Not to mention Brock Ryder, who's just another stud that I kind of overlooked there. Yeah, just great wrestlers, man. This is a fun weight. But Falciani is the favorite. I think he already owns a win over Porter Shot. If I'm not mistaken this year, I think that's Porter's only loss, even though he's had some close matches.
I don't
And I
know.
think Ethan Holloway from Pike Road is my dark horse to make the finals.
So Falciani, has he wrestled shot? I don't, oh yes, he does. He beat him, in early December,
Yeah,
at Gardendale.
yeah.
So,
So
and Falciani's only loss, was to a stud out of Florida, CJ McCutcheon. So, yeah, keep that in mind. So
yeah,
there you go. All right. And we move to the heavyweights. And you know what? These are just some outstanding heavyweights actually in 6A. I watched Gage Becky and Daniel Ellis wrestle each other at state duels. Both are super talented. What's a little surprising, I guess, Malik Watts from Pell City was your North champ, but Becky is your top seed. Um, you've mentioned that a couple of times. Barton King, just throw another name out there as your 4 seed from Homewood, is super good as well. Did you watch that match between Watts and Becky?
yeah. As the last match of the day, fantastic match. As I'm walking out, I'm like, wait a minute, this is going into tiebreakers. Yeah, this is a great match. Fantastic potential finals. You never know. Gage Becky he's won it at least once. Been a finalist multiple times. And he lost to Willie Cox in one of those. Daniel Ellis is another one who has been, I think, in the finals or third. The seeds on this one make no sense, right? They make no sense. Kristen Johnson, state or sectional runner up, is the 6 seed. Barden King, who he beat, is the 4 seed. And then you got Becky lost to Malik Watts, and the seeds again, they just don't make sense. And this is where I go back to, why do they not just cross over? Because it would make so much more sense to just have it set. And if coaches want to play the game, let them play it. Let them play it.
Yeah.
Um, and or you could add, well, yeah, just
The
let them play
what
the
the one thing
game.
I will say as far as the seeds go is when you have really differences in North and South,
Yeah,
and you get, this crossover, and then next thing you know, you know, you it really should be seeded that number 3 out of the North or whatever the case should be really should be the 3 seed. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Instead of
yeah, for
3.
sure. And you
So
definitely saw a lot of manipulation with that too. Like I said, a lot of forfeits and a lot of like moving around. But that was just a part of it, and I think that was some good coaching more so than anything. But here, it's like you're just rolling the dice in some of these weights, and it hurts the kids. Like this is potentially life-changing stuff. A lot of these guys are seniors, and you know, it's just not. There should be a better way. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to be too critical because I think I appreciate Don Corn and Eric Pollard for everything they do, but yeah, it just there's and it's an overwhelming task, I'm sure. But this is it's tough. I say all that to say this is a very good weight class.
it is.
And yeah, I mean Christian Johnson, Daniel Ellis in the quarters, Malik Watts potentially going to make a run this year. Somebody who's bumped up from 215 last year. Barden King, somebody who we see on the Greco scene,
Yep.
a big I believe ironclad guy. Then you have Gage Becky, the defending champ, runner up for the past couple years. So great weight. Super surprised Malik Watts wins an ultimate tiebreaker, but so you never know. This weight is anybody's weight. I really believe that.
Yeah. 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 This is gonna be a lot of fun to watch, and don't leave early because the 285s will bring it at 6A, definitely.
Oh yeah.
All right. So as you look through it, I guess we'll wrap it up with, is Athens making the run over Mountain Brook? Is it Gardendale? It's a different beast. It's not duels, right?
Yeah.
This is about this is about well, champs are important, but man, putting 8 on the podium or whatever the case is, getting those points as you go through it. Do you have a sense? I know you didn't sit down and kind of figure it out, but do you have a feeling?
Yeah, I mean, Mountain Brook is still the favorite, right? And Gardendale actually beat Athens at sectionals, but when you're looking at sectionals, okay, well, let's look at how many finalists you might have. Well, then you're like, well, now you got Unger, Carter Campbell, Austin Campbell, Will Anderson. So, I mean, it's a different beast for sure. I do think Mountain Brook, because of how many they're bringing and how many they have potentially making deep runs into the brackets, I do think they're the favorite. I think they're a better tournament team than most. Um, and I think they, at least for 6A, they're easily the favorite, just based on the numbers game, right? I don't think Athens necessarily has the amount of kids needed to make that
Right,
run.
right.
Gardendale potentially does have, they have two Poe brothers. They have some Brock
They have
Riders and
Becky.
some Jackson Sandra and some Gage Beckys that are they're right there. So you never know. I think that I don't think it'll be a blowout like it has been in the past couple years with Mountain Brook.
All right, guys, that is 6A. Make sure you tune into 1A, 4A, as well as 5A and 7A. It's been a blast talking to Coach, and man, go out and compete. It's going to be a great weekend. Go do your thing.
Heck yeah, yeah. Go have fun, compete hard.
All right, man. Take care.
Yep. See ya.